Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Star Wars. Man, they sure made a lot of these now, like 10 or something, and almost 4 of them are good. In some scenes, words get acted the f*** out of them. I never interacted much with the extended lore of the universe outside of video games though, so when Disney bought the franchise and murked everything outside of the films, my only thoughts were of the video games. The ones that jumped out at me were the first-person shooters, of which there are many. Being a fan of shooting stuff in the person of the first, I surprisingly never really played many of the shooters in the Star Wars franchise. Well, I'm gonna rectify that sin and play one out of order. Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Outcast for the original Xbox. It also dropped on PC and Gamecube if you're interested. As with Star Trek Elite Force, this too is a Raven Software game coming out 2 years later. The story is, who cares? It's not even canon anymore. You play an idiot named Kyle, a former Jedi, I think, now mercenary. His girl gets killed, he gets angry, he finds his way back to the Force, whatever. Disney murked this shit in the face anyway, who cares? Just like with Star Trek Voyager Elite Force, Raven Software just nails the visual details. It all feels authentically Star Wars. The time and attention put towards making this look like it belongs right next to the films is obvious. They cared. There aren't cut corners. I played Star Wars games where it feels like they just said, yeah, whatever, that looks like Star Wars, throw it in. Not here. Even 17 years later, it remains impressive. The art feels all right at home. No complaints here. This looks the part, and it tries to sound the part too, but this is where things start going sideways. I can see what they tried to do here. They wanted the music to swell organically when in a firefight, but then just as organically end when the lasers stop flying. But the end result is a sporadic and messy experience where the music just starts and then suddenly stops. It's all very sloppy. They tried taking bits and pieces from various tracks and mixing them together to make it feel natural when the music kicks in and stops, but it's just jarring and flows about as well as my old high school rap lyrics. The only tracks that seem to play uninterrupted are the ambient tracks while exploring. This type of music mixing is common nowadays, but the execution here is just painful. You'll notice it immediately and it never stops being distracting.
Better try not to attract too much attention.
All other audio is great though. The sound effects are all unmistakably Star Wars, and even the voice acting is pretty good. Their Luke Skywalker sound-alike does a fine job, and Billy D. Williams reprises his role as Lando, and he doesn't sound like he's phoning it in. Well done. The controls are also, for the most part, great. They won't compare to modern games, but it feels better than Star Trek Elite Force did. Switching between force powers and weapons is a hassle though. I can see where this wouldn't be a problem on PC, but with a controller it's a pain. A weapon wheel of some kind would have been a major improvement. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a constant annoyance. I would often avoid using cool Jedi powers and weapons because switching to them would take longer than just killing the baddies with whatever I currently had equipped. Not that the AI would have minded waiting, they're not too bright. Thankfully though, the performance on this one is much better than it was on Elite Force. I wouldn't call it 100% stable or anything, but it is night and day compared to that slideshow. It all feels much smoother and looks much crisper too. The hardware bump up to Xbox from PS2 didn't hurt. It's a shame this one isn't backwards compatible on the Xbox One like its sequel is, because at 4K on an X, this would probably still stun. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the nice things I can say about this one, because this game has got a critical design flaw that just about sinks the entire experience. One of my biggest pet peeves in the wonderful world of interactive entertainment software is when my time isn't respected. A lot of us share this red line in the digital sand. It's not a shocking take or anything. We don't like having our time wasted no matter what we're doing. There's probably a joke you can insert here about watching this video and having your time wasted. There are so many games and not enough time in the world, so when a game feels like it's spinning its wheels for no good reason, I tend to quickly lose my patience. Jedi Knight 2 does not respect your time. It outright despises it. This one has got a bad case of where the hell do I go now? Without exaggeration, I would estimate a good 50% of my game time was not spent progressing, but instead combing the environment trying to figure out how to progress. And the solution was almost always infuriatingly obtuse. A box you didn't know you can even move to reveal a hole below it. A single button on the wall that looked like a million other buttons you've previously passed but couldn't interact with before. A door that blended in with the wall so well you passed it 100 times before noticing it. A vent you had to shoot to reveal a hidden passageway. Each time I got stuck, I knew I was in it for the long haul. At one point, after getting stuck for the 30th time, I stubbornly refused to use a guide and decided to comb the level looking for the way forward myself. I've played plenty of adventure games in the 90s, I could figure this crap out. I finally gave up after 2 hours and relented. The solution was a hole in the ceiling I had missed 1,000 times while trying to find a way forward. They put a broken pipe there with some steam, and I guess that was supposed to be enough to alert me? It wasn't. I shut the game off in frustration. I can count on one hand the amount of times in 30 years a game made me that angry. There is no map, no waypoint, no hint as to what direction you should head or even exactly what you're supposed to do once you get there. There's an objective screen, but it offers no real guidance. Many of the levels are designed like mazes with so many doors and hallways and routes and secrets that after a few minutes of exploring you'll already be lost. Not every level is a confusing mess, but many are. The lack of a map or a waypoint is not inherently a bad thing, but the levels have to be designed with this in mind. Doom didn't have any waypoints. It didn't need them. The sprawling levels were also very maze-like, but they were masterfully designed to organically guide you to find keys and secrets and eventually the exit. It was and is a masterclass in level design. For a more modern example, take Breath of the Wild, an open world game where you can ignore the map and still find your way. I didn't even love that game, but still I couldn't help but be impressed with its exploration. Its lack of direction was meticulously designed to be fun and rewarding. Getting lost wasn't a hassle, it was an adventure. It was designed with this in mind. There's a difference. Here, there's almost no pathfinding. Even the few subtle hints I did spot along the way were hidden so well I nearly missed them. What the hell was the point then? Now, mix this lack of direction with the game's platforming mechanic, and there is a lot of platforming. Oftentimes, discerning the difference between what they want you to platform across and what's just environmental set dressing is an exercise in infuriating trial and error. In one excruciating sequence, a stormtrooper with a rocket launcher takes down a horizontal elevator I was riding on. A space gondola, if you will, and please do because I love saying gondola. I played this section maybe a dozen times trying to figure out what the developers wanted me to do, but every time the gondola would just be destroyed and I would fall to my death. Okay, I shot the stormtrooper before he even fired a single missile, but nope, the gondola still falls as if he fired the missile from beyond the grave. Okay, then I tried jumping on the big disc-shaped gravity pads that were carrying the gondola. Nope, that didn't work either. They're too far apart. Alright, well maybe there's another way around. Maybe I don't need to be on this gondola at all. No, there's no other way forward. I have to be on that gondola. I finally looked at a guide and realized the nondescript bars on the walls that blended in with all the other junk on the walls were what I was supposed to jump on and maneuver across to avoid falling to my death. They don't look like geometry I should be able to platform across. They just look like nothing. Set dressing. They blended in. I didn't even notice them, but that was the solution. And you can bet this wasn't signaled to you in any way. I was just supposed to know, and that is this game in a nutshell. You're just supposed to be able to read the developer's mind and know what they want you to do. Jedi Knight 2 is a 6-hour game that takes 12 hours to complete. It is confusing and obtuse, and the level design seems born out of a lack of care rather than an attempt at rewarding exploration. That is unacceptable in 2019, much more so than it would have been in 2002. Still, it is heartbreaking to see another one of their early games get so close to brilliance, only to be taken down by a critical design flaw. At least with Elite Force, you can get a stable frame rate by just playing the PC version. There's no fixing broken level design though. Put it on easy, try to at least enjoy the world and the art, because it is once again phenomenal. Find a guide the second you get lost and you'll save yourself hours of frustration. If that sounds like too much of a hassle, then just let sleeping dogs lie. It's not like Disney cares anyway. They murk the f*** out of this shit.